I'm afraid that the United States is going to help Israel. They have said it many times, and God knows what would happen. Really, Christian, I don't know what's going to happen. That's what we are afraid of. I don't think we have an alternative. We need the United States help. Whether we get it or not, we are not sure yet. But the United States is very important, vital for this ceasefire. I want to go back to the truce line, which was approved by Israel and by Lebanon in 1949. Israel was in Lebanon and had to run away in Lebanon. Of course, they stayed 22 years, but there were too many killings of Israelis there. So I don't think Israel would want to occupy South Lebanon again, because this time the resistance is stronger than it was in the past. So I really don't understand the Israelis, because if they want to get back their people to the north, those who were displaced to the north, to their villages and settlements, they have to negotiate. And they have to negotiate with the Lebanese government through mediators like the Americans as well. Hezbollah for a few days or a week or so, they would be in trouble. It's not easy for them to receive such kind of a blow in 2 days. You know, I don't know what's expected more, if there is anything else is expected tomorrow. I mean, they penetrated their intelligence, they penetrated their communication. There's no doubt they would be a little bit in disarray. But I think this is an organization that can come back quickly. That's what happened in 2006, and they can come back quickly. Also, Israel for a year almost has been, we're going to finish from Hamas. Yes, Hamas has been weakened, but it is still there. So, ideas, you cannot kill ideas by war. This is, if you have an army against an army, one would win. But this case, it is not the case. It's not the same case as a war. You have an idea. An idea does not die. On the contrary, there would be more people really rallying towards this idea. Look, Hezbollah is a resistance movement, and let's deal government to government. We are willing to talk to Hezbollah at the right time, and we communicate with them all the time. And I think if Israel wants peace, we are ready for peace, for a ceasefire. Not a peace treaty, but for a ceasefire on the border, and an agreement on what are the conditions for this ceasefire. Granted that 1701, which is the United Nations Security Council Resolution 1701, is a very important resolution for us. And if we implement it, for us and the Israelis, and we both said that that's implemented, but Israel violates Lebanon, the sovereignty of Lebanon every day. Every day there is a violation. So I'm not defending Hezbollah, because yes, they are also, retaliating. Escalation has been all the time Israelis. Like what happened yesterday, what happened today is escalation. We cannot talk to Hezbollah anymore now in the way we were talking to them in the past, because they are, of course, they were hit very badly, and therefore retaliation is a must to them. We'll try to do something, but I don't know how much we have power to stop them.
Foreign Minister, welcome back to the program.
Thank you. Thank you.
Things have reached a major crisis in your country since we last spoke. And I want to ask you, you are in the United States right now. You know that several of the administration officials agree with Israel's, ground incursion into your country. What do you make of that as you're in Washington trying to get support for a ceasefire?
Well, they also agreed on the Biden Macron statement that calls for a ceasefire, and that calls also the implementation for 21 days ceasefire, and then Mr. Hochstein would go to Lebanon and negotiate a ceasefire. Okay, and they told us that Mr. Netanyahu agreed on this, and so we also got the agreement of Hezbollah on that. And you know what happened since then? That was the day we saw you in New York.
I know, and you were talking about going into the Security Council for this ceasefire, and barely 24 hours later, the head of Hezbollah was assassinated. Are you saying Hassan Nasrallah had agreed to a ceasefire just moments before he was assassinated?
He agreed, yes. We agreed completely. Lebanon agreed to ceasefire, but consulting with the Hezbollah. The speaker, Mr. Berry, consulted with Hezbollah, and we informed the Americans and the French that what happened. And they told us that Mr. Netanyahu also agreed on the statement that was issued by both presidents.
Okay, well, as you know, Mr. Netanyahu was also in New York at the time, and he actually said publicly the IDF must fight on. And then he ordered the assassination and the targeting of that headquarters, which killed Nasrallah. So, given all of that, I mean, who do you have any faith in if the strongest country in the world, the United States, seems to have no or very little influence after publicly saying that there would be a ceasefire?
I don't think we have an alternative. Yes. I don't think we have an alternative. We need the United States help. Whether we get it or not, we are not sure yet. But the United States is very important, vital for this ceasefire. If it has to happen, the United States is always important in this regard.
So what do you make then of the United States' latest warnings to the region and now publicly that they have intelligence that Iran is preparing an imminent ballistic missile attack on Israel? What will that do for the situation?
Well, we always warned against a regional war that will draw United States into it. And we thought that what Israel did would produce that. Until now, nothing had happened, but the issue is that that's what I hear. We didn't hear it directly from the Iranian, but that's what we hear from the news today. What you said about Iran ballistic missiles fired to Israel or to be fired.
Mm-hmm. So my question to you is, because others have said this, I want to know whether you agree that Benjamin Netanyahu has succeeded in creating the kind of dynamic that he wants on the ground and in the air, and could possibly succeed in getting the United States to help Israel strike Iran. Do you think that is what's going to happen next if Iran strikes Israel?
Well, he succeeded definitely. He came the next day after the announcement of the Americans and the French on this ceasefire. He came the next day, and his ministers were saying, no, we don't agree, but he didn't say anything. And when he came, after he spoke at the United Nations General Assembly, he gave an order to hit the Hezbollah in southern Beirut. I'm afraid that the United States is going to help Israel. They have said it many times, and God knows what would happen. Really, Christian, I don't know what's going to happen. That's what we are afraid of.
Israelis are saying they don't want Hezbollah's presence underground, over the ground, in the sky.
Well, they said it in 2006. Mm-hmm. As long as there is occupation of Lebanese land, there will be no coordination with them on this issue, unless they accept. And then we start negotiating through a third party. It could be UNIFIL, the United Nations Interim Forces of Lebanon, or the Americans, or the French. We are open. But there is a right to resistance. And that's what trying to work with Israelis. Leave this, give us back the land, and then there is no need for military presence except for the state in southern Lebanon. And that's what UN Security Council Resolution 1701 says. But Israel insists on continuing the occupation of our land and not continuing that, because the blue line is not the border. To us, it's the Armistice Agreement of 1949 is the border between us and Israel, which was the border between us and Palestine set by the British and the French in 1923. So, and we did not yet, they are refusing to talk about it. We are ready to implement 1701, but what they're saying is not the truth. Mm-hmm. They are saying this, yes, we implement 1701, but they don't want to get out from Shiba Farms and First Shuba Hills. But this is Lebanese. The owners of these hills, the owners of these farms are Lebanese. No, they are Syrians. And they say they are Syrians, and they want to continue the occupation along their annexation along with the Golan Heights. And this is unacceptable to us. We want them back. We want we want the border to be the truce line. We want B1 in Nakura, because they removed the border something like 35 meters northward. So all of this have to be settled. Normalization on the border, yes, mm-hmm. but not peace with Israel. This would have to wait for an Israeli-Palestinian peace. We have 500,000 Palestinians, and Lebanese feel with the Palestinian people. Here we have them refugees in Lebanon, and we feel with the Palestinian people, and we think the two-state solution has to be implemented before we make peace. It's not on the table with this government, but you don't know, and we can't deny that Israel has democratic elections, and if there is elections, I think the opposition may win. And the head of the opposition, they want peace on southern border and with Lebanon and with the Palestinians. There are half solutions and there are full solutions. The French came with a proposal that would deal with everything on the border, and will have security, if it happened, security on the border. And that's what we want. It means that once we establish this the border, the need for military presence, which is not official, is not necessary anymore. I mean, Hezbollah, they are happy. They will be happy. Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah said it. They will be happy if all the land, occupied land, is returned to Lebanon.